Hello guys, you are welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are watching me for the very first time, my name is Asperia. I'm a very passionate farmer. I do mixed farming, but in this video I'm particularly going to talk about poultry farming. And as you can see, I'm here at a poultry house, and so I'm going to talk to you about my journey as a poultry farmer, how I began, a few things I have encountered as I did the farming, and basically at the end of this video you're going to be motivated, you're going to be encouraged, and trust me, you're going to have a desire to start this farming. You are welcome. Get your juice, get everything, sit around and watch this video. So let's get right into it. Poultry farming, as any other business, has challenges, benefits, and a lot of things. So if you want to do poultry as a business, you have to set your mind that you're going to encounter some of the challenges, but then that shouldn't be like a big deal, to stop you from doing the farming. Now, basically, I'm someone who, when I love something, I invest in it. I invest in getting knowledge first. And so before I started my farm, I invested in getting knowledge first. I had to first go through trainings, research, like reading here on internet, watching videos of successful poultry farmers. I wanted that big motivation that would push me to make that decision of starting a poultry farm. So I invested so much in learning. So because I was not an agronomist, I wanted to learn about these birds, understand them, how they grow. You know very well that if you want to be getting profits, you got to start your birds at day one. Now, when you start them at day one, that means you are going to buy the chicks at a very cheaper price, and then you're going to brood them yourself. And when you brood the birds yourself, you maximize the income, you reduce on the cost of the birds, and also you get more profit. You vaccinate your birds properly. And so I wanted like that kind of environment, and so I had to get knowledge. First of all, I got my book, I wrote down my objectives for my project, what I wanted to achieve at the end of the year, as my short-term objectives. Then I also had my long-term objectives. My vision for poultry farming was not just going to end at the flock that I was going to get first. I needed to have thousands of birds by the end of the 5th year. And as I talk right now, I'm in my journey, and I'm sticking my objectives slowly as I achieve them. So first of all, first invest in learning. Learn about this business. Get to know the birds from day one, how they fall sick, how they vaccinate, how they are fed, the different breeds on market. Understand which one is good for your locality. You could buy good birds from the Netherlands, yet they are not going to do well in the eastern part of your country where you stay. So I didn't want, to fall into a hot soup. I had to invest in learning. You guys, I made internet my best friend. I learned a lot of things before I started business. And then I also wanted to see some of the few challenges that I would, encounter on my farm, so that I plan on ways on mitigating them. So I invested so much in learning. So the very first thing you should do if you are to do this poultry business or any other form of business, you need to learn. So you could be having your capital, like I did. I had some capital. I was really desperate, wanted to do something. I really didn't want to do some small business that is going to, take my time here and there. So I took time, invested in learning about a particular venture that I wanted to do, and then that helped me to make these informed decisions. By the time I went to bring the birds, my heart was already fine. My mind was fully made up, and I knew that I've entered into this war. I must come out victorious. And so that is the heart that you should have if you are to be a successful poultry farmer. And so I'm not going to tell you that things have been really very beautiful. First of all, I started with brooding. I bought my birds at day one. Of course, I first did, through my research, I visited some successful farmers, and I got to know that I needed to buy very good breeds, which I did. And also I got to learn where I would get the birds, which I did. And also I bought the birds from authentic dealers. And so My fears came in at day one. You guys, day one is very hard. You get the birds when they have just been from the hatchery, they have not eaten anything. Some of them can't even see. And this is me, Asperia, trying to figure out things on how I'm going to handle these birds from day one. And you know what I did? I took my 3 days inside the poultry house. I slept literally inside because yes, I could get the worker, but I really did not want the worker to, do for me the brooding, because those guys do not know the effort, the sacrifices that we, put in to start these businesses. So I didn't want reasons, I don't want stories. So I did the brooding myself together with my husband. So I took nights inside the brooder, trying to feed the birds, trying to make sure the birds are healthy. And the good news is that I did brood my birds from day 1 up to day 21 successfully, 0 deaths. And that was a green flag for me. It was like a yes from God that yes, you can do this farm. And that was the onset of my joy. So I continued feeding the birds, treating them. I did the vaccinations myself. I'm not a vet, but I took time to learn about vaccination. Not that I didn't want to spend the money. Of course, I didn't want to spend the money, but then I needed to make sure that each bird is vaccinated. Sometimes we hire people, and when they come on the farm, because the birds are many, they really don't take time to vaccinate all. And for you as a farmer, it makes losses. You make losses. So I called the vet in his presence. He guided me, and I did vaccinate the birds, except for some few things that I could not manage, like the beaking. And I showed you a video when I was beaking these birds. I had to get the technical experts to do the work, but most of the vaccinations I did them myself. The feedings, I was there. I made sure that the birds see me on a daily basis. The very first days of these birds here at the farm, they enjoyed my presence, and in doing so, I was also training the people that are going to be helping me. So as a business person, you need to be on the forefront. I really did not want stories to come from wherever and I find dead hens, and I don't know why. I really needed accountability, and that has helped my farm to thrive. But how did it come? From knowledge that I got. I learned about these things before starting. Now, sometimes we get money, we get excited. Maybe you have been in the savings group and you have just shared your money. You have like your millions and you feel like, yes, I can do the farm, I can do the poultry farming. It's okay, you can do, but you have knowledge. The mistakes that we do, we just learn into things before we learn. Investing in learning is what has really helped us so much here on our farm, because we can even give you technical advice, not because we did study, but because we have invested in learning. Now, secondly, I wanted to have biosecurity measures in control. Like, before entering my farm, I needed to make sure I am clean. I have a disinfectant. I needed to minimize the cost of production. And so in a poultry farm, if you minimize the cost of production, that means you handle the birds' health properly. They do not get sick all the time. You don't get difficult diseases on the farm. There, just know that even with a few birds, you are going to get the profits. So what we did, we had to first fence off the place where the poultry house is. Apparently, we stay at the farm, the farm is at our home. And so just know that we get visitors here and there. I really needed a farm that is free from unnecessary visitors. So, because an adult in Africa, they just feel entitled, they come and they want to see this. I didn't want quarrels, so we just had to fence off first. And that would limit any other birds, any other diseases, any other people from entering without permission. And after fencing, we made sure we get the foot bath. We use basins here at the farm, so we put a disinfectant. You have to disinfect yourself. If you come on my farm and you must see the birds, then you have to be disinfected first, because I don't trust your shoes, I don't trust you, and so I have to disinfect you first before you see my birds. So having put all those things under control, it helped us a lot. Our birds haven't been like getting a lot of sicknesses. I haven't seen Newcastle, I haven't seen Gumboro, I haven't seen most of the diseases that have come, they were treatable. And because we had vaccinated the birds properly, the diseases were not so powerful. Like I haven't lost a large number of birds, and so that was very key in my farm. And another thing, because I did in layers, of course, during the time of planning, noting down objectives, I had to choose the area of specialty, which is layers. I didn't want to do here and there. I really loved layers, and I wanted to be the supplier of eggs in my region here, because I discovered there was a need of eggs in my region. Most of the eggs came from the city, Kampala, and we are potential people. We could do this. So I wanted to find where I could fix myself in there and be able to start. And so I did that. Yeah. So I chose layers because they give you time to learn. They give you time to find market. I really didn't want to have pressure. With broilers, they are good. I also did more research about before I did make a decision. But then I discovered that when you deal in broilers, you have to have very ready market, whereby 6 weeks you are already selling your birds. But with layers, you have time. By the time they start laying, I had told all my friends, all the hotels I go to, you guys, I have eggs. So by the time our birds started production, we didn't struggle with market. We already had buyers, So planning makes things really easy. So I did that, and it has helped my farm to thrive. Now also I needed to learn about financial management. For my bird started production, I needed to handle money. I needed to handle the money that I put in feeds. I really needed to see whether this farm is going to bring out my money. And so I had to do the record management, keeping money. Keeping record of every transaction, even if I have picked an egg from my farm to my kitchen, I have to value it in money. So I know I was supposed to get a profit of 100,000, but my family consumed 4 trays, which is still my profit, because yes, it has fed my own children. So it has been a life of learning, growing, and I can encourage you that if you have passion about farming, leave the fears alone. First, go and take a bold step and start. And then another encouragement I would give you to start small. I started with 120 birds. Why? When you look at the poultry house here, it is divided into 2. We first brought 120. Basically, I didn't want to test the waters with 2 feet. I wanted to first put 1 leg and see whether I'm going to be able to cross over. So after the successful brooding, I discovered that I can do it. And so we had to invest in buying more birds. And that's why this one is in this room, the other group is in the other room. All of them are perfectly fine. So starting small does not mean that you can't manage starting big. You could have your capital, you can even bring thousands of birds, but it is very important for you to start small, gain the knowledge, learn, get shock absorbers, and then you'll be able to start. Apparently, as we talk, we are planning on expansion, planning on having a big house and bringing more birds in a few months' time, which is very, very beautiful. Now, no one would want to invest in something they don't get in. So, in this video, you already know that we are making profits. But these profits are not just going to come. You're going to be disciplined in your expenditures. You are going to be disciplined in record management. You're also going to be disciplined in production. If you just wake up and feed your birds with a whole sack of feeds, they are going to eat, but they will still give you 1 egg. So this means you have to know that I have to measure the feeds. My birds have to consume this amount of feed, and you give them exactly what they need. You don't give them excess. If you give them excess, they will eat. You will make losses. So invest in more in learning. Be strategic, be flexible, be resilient, be patient, and be consistent. Now, this farm, I'm not going to tell you that after 1 month I started collecting eggs. I'm not that type. So it took us 6 months to start getting good cash from these hens. That means we had to invest in our money from day one up to, they started laying at week 16, which is 4 months. But then the egg size doesn't really start well. You find the sizes are very small. Some birds are not, laying at the same time because they have different eating rates, eating habits, and growing habits. So, like in your family, you could find you are twins, but you're not of the same size. So these birds too, the way they eat is the way they eat. So they do not just start laying at the same time. Some of them take time. So by the time they all fully start laying, it's around 28 weeks. And at week 28, they have very nice eggs. They are well shaped, and you start getting very good money out of them. And so when you discipline yourself on expenditure, you know that this bird, because in a day we could collect 7 trays, and that is close to, by then the eggs were 12,000. That was much money. And so you'll be knowing that I have collected 7 trays, but out of the 7 trays, the money that I would get, they are going to eat maybe 50%. You spend exactly 50% and save the rest, and that is your profit. You make sure you have paid the laborers, you make sure but in everything you have to learn to maximize and minimize the cost of production as you maximize your profits. If you have a few birds, why would you need a laborer? Yet you're at home, you can handle that. For our the batch of birds, we didn't really need workers because we could handle. So, and that helped us. The money that I would be paying someone, I had to save it, and that reduced the cost of production and increased my profit. So there are so many things that you can learn from this video if you are okay. Now you might be studying and you are not going to automatically find a job. Now you should get knowledge in how you are going to use your talent, your knowledge, your wisdom, and how to set up your job yourself around your home. Apparently, we are living in the city, and the eggs that we produce are not even enough to supply a quarter of our city. Don't we see that we need more poultry farmers in our land? Can you begin a farm right now? I believe you found something helpful. I welcome questions in the comment section. Leave the questions there. I'll be glad to answer you. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor, subscribe, like the video, share them, watch as much as possible, ask where necessary. Together, we can kick out poverty out of our lives. Thank you so much. Goodbye.